FBI leadership is on the ground in Utah right now, trying to close in on the suspect. Law enforcement laid out the assassin's path last night after killing Kirk, showing a video of a person of interest running across the roof and climbing down the side of the student center. Authorities say they left behind palm impressions and a shoe imprint from a Converse tennis sneaker. A bolt-action rifle that had been imported was found wrapped in a towel in a nearby woods. Joining me now to break this all down is private investigator Toby Braun, who has extensive experience in high-profile searches. Toby, thank you for joining us. 7,000 tips and an appeal to the public for more. So what is your assessment on where things stand right now?
Good morning, Coley. Thanks for having me on. So first and foremost, my heart tonight this morning hurts for Charlie's amazing wife and his two beautiful young daughters. It's really unimaginable what they're going through. And this is just an absolute tragedy. There's been an overwhelming amount of information and tips that came in. There's over 20 law enforcement agencies working this case around the clock. And I'm very confident, based on talking to my sources on the ground and everything that's been going on that they're going to find this guy very, very soon.
Yeah, well, that's interesting because one thing that the governor said yesterday was that this is not just local. He said they have people from all over the country working to bring this perpetrator to justice. When you hear a statement like that, do you jump to the conclusion that this may move out of state and the assumption is now he's no longer in Utah and he could be in a neighboring state or somewhere else in the country?
Yeah, it's certainly very possible right now. There's a lot of different dynamics happening here, a lot of different moving parts, and this is certainly a nationwide investigation, and it's certainly possible that he's no longer in the state. I am confident that he's likely somebody from the area. He was certainly somebody who did some sort of counter surveillance reconnaissance at the campus prior to the shooting. So this guy is not someone that was new to the area. He's definitely been there, whether he grew up there, whether he just visited several times before to scope the site out and determine where he was going to take a shot. Again, whether or not he's still in the area or not, that's yet to be determined.
So a bolt-action rifle, I just said it, was imported. It was found wrapped in a towel in a nearby woods. Why would this guy drop the weapon?
Well, a couple different reasons. One, it was likely a 308 or 30-06 that hasn't been released yet. Obviously, the federal agencies know what rifle that was. It's a pretty large caliber rifle, and it's not convenient to carry that back down. And that's usually the case for shooters like that. They'll leave the rifle behind. Yet to be determined how much evidence he left on the rifle, DNA evidence, fingerprints. But it just wouldn't have been convenient to take that rifle back down with him. This guy obviously made a quick escape. We saw a lot of the footage earlier of him escaping from the rooftop, jumping down, and that just would have added extra weight.
Okay, so there's always concern that one act of violence will spark another. Here's Utah Governor Spencer Cox talking about that yesterday and directing his message towards people who use social media. Listen to this.
There is a tremendous amount of disinformation. What we're seeing is our adversaries want violence. China, we have bots from Russia, China, all over the world that are trying to instill disinformation and encourage violence. I would encourage you to ignore those, to turn off those streams, and to spend a little more time with our families.
The fact that China and Russia are exploiting the murder of Charlie Kirk and using it to hopefully incite further violence, unimaginable. Are you concerned about this?
I certainly am. There's always a concern for copycats. We had so many different shootings in our country in the last just few weeks alone, and so much violence. But I think it's also important to remember that we have to look at this for what it is. This is an evil individual. This is a terrorist, right? Somebody who committed violence to attain a political outcome here, and we have to look at this as an individual and not blame a larger group, because that's, at the end of the day, that's what our adversaries want. They want to create further division within our country, within ourselves, we have to blame this individual, these terrorists that are committing these violent acts, and not continue to let that acts further divide us.
$100,000 reward for information, 200 interviews done and counting as the investigation continues. Toby, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me on.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.